Welcome back. As you know, as I say while sitting in this chair oftentimes, I'm a born fan. I am fascinated by the way in which people do the things they do. Like writing a book like this that's that thick. I don't think I've had that many thoughts in my entire life. I'm not sure. But the important thing is that RJ, Ruth Craddock, is here, and she has had all those thoughts, great stories. This is the new book, The Offspring, from the Children of Cain series. This is RJ Craddock. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Congratulations. Second book.
Thank you.
If you would, before we get into your background, give folks a little overview of the Children of Cain series.
Children of Cain, it's a story we're following Guinevere. She's found wandering in the snow when she's 5 years old. She doesn't really remember who she is. All she knows is that she just survived a fire in which someone murdered her mother and burned the house down to kind of hide it. She's running away from this person, and she stumbles into the human world. Because it turns out she's not human, she's a witch, and a descendant of Lilith and Cain. And all mythical creatures come from Lilith and Cain. So that's kind of the background of the story. And then we follow her progression as she sort of tries to find her way in the human world, and then starts finding her own kind, and her trying to figure out who she is and where she comes from, trying to kind of find a home of her own. So that's what there's actually 6 books in the series. So there's the first 2 out, and we kind of get a little more into the fantasy world as we go. First book's more urban fantasies, more in the human world, and then from then on it just gets more fantasy.
And you used a phrase that I was not previously familiar with, new adult. So that's kind of the category, the target that you're writing for, tween, young adult, new adult.
Adult, yeah. So it's a little more mature than young adult, or young adult, a little more censored, a little more innocent, but it's not as graphic as an adult novel. So it kind of falls between for those that get kind of tired of the young adult scene, but don't want to get into the adult scene.
This is something that's captivating, clearly, to young readers. If we just use the ages of 12 to 21 or something like that. These kinds of ideas. Tell me what you think about why some of this big buckets of themes are really resonating with these kinds of readers, and why that worked for you.
I think, especially when you're at that age, I think you're more, there's more wonder about life and like, what if this and what if that, and I think, well, there's always the kind of readers that are always going to love fantasy, are always going to be into urban fantasy and putting those things together, modern versus fantasy worlds. But I think especially in those ages, you're more interested in a fantastical world than reality, especially when you're going through puberty and everybody's kind of like awkward and weird. You want to go to a place where teenagers have magical powers and can do cool stuff, and where they can solve their problems beyond just.
You're clearly onto something, because when you said that, all of a sudden I felt awkward and weird. Like,
I
remember what it's like to be 13. That's terrible.
Seriously. We're all there in some way.
So true. So
true. I think that's where it resonates with people that age, because it's so much more fun to think of a world in which you can get out of your own life and do these amazing things, or be a normal person but not a normal person at the same time.
So, actually, I'm getting some info in my ear. Let's take a break. We'll talk a little bit more about the books, and I want to talk some about your background in writing, because, like I say, I'm a born fan. That's completely fascinating. So let's do that. We'll be right back. This is RJ Craddock. She is an author. That's so cool. Quick break. We'll be back with more. Please stay tuned. It's Mountain Views on Park City Television. Welcome back. We are chatting with author RJ Craddock. She has just published book number 2 of the Children of Cain series, entitled The Offspring. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
How do you become a writer? How did you do it? It's fascinating to me.
I was just always writing. I don't remember not writing, just doing it in my life. It just took me a long time to get to the point where I was confident enough to be like, share this with other people. And then when I started writing this story, it kind of took over my life to the point that I had to write, and I had to get out there and realize this was the one. It was time to officially go out there and get published and get it done.
Get serious.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 6 books in this series.
This series, yeah.
I get the feeling that because of and no comparison whatsoever, but just the fact that Twilight was a trilogy, and I feel like people are understanding more how to consume that big long series. And is it maybe television that's helped us because we get to know characters and we love them, and then we don't want to let them go? Have you had that experience as a writer with the characters?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of hard to write an ending for them. I grew up reading Robert Jordan, and he has, you know, like 13, 14 books. Maybe I'm wrong, but like they're huge books, very detailed, big worlds, and I found that I really enjoyed longer series and bigger books. So for me, this makes sense to make it longer. I don't know if I'll ever write just a trilogy, and I'm going to try to write standalone books, but I'm one of those people, longer, I'm good at longer. Short, I'm not so good at short. I don't know about short stories, but me and long, I'm good.
But that's important to know what your preferences are, what your natural strengths are. And do you have the entire series, generally, the arc in your mind now?
I've kind of lived her life in my head. There's some details that I'm going to figure out as I get there. I kind of loosely outline them, but for the most part I daydream it, and I'll realize new things. Like, I do a lot of writing when I'm washing dishes or rocking a baby to sleep, or those are like the 2 times where I get my best ideas, or in the middle of the night, like at 2 or 3 in the morning, because I'm a night owl. So like I'll realize something new, like, oh yeah, that's how it should be, and then so it kind of happens on its own over time. Like, as I start writing it, sometimes it'll change from what I've been seeing before, and then be like, oh, that's how it always should have been, and it just didn't realize it until I started writing it. It's like, oh, okay.
Now it's right.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And do you have a set sort of schedule or preference as far as when you actually sit down to write? Is it the same time? Is it, you know, kind of the songwriter thing of, oh, I got to stop what I'm doing to right now? Or
like, generally, I just keep it in my, with writing, I just keep it in my head. Songwriting, that's I do that with my husband on the side. That's different. Like, if I don't record it or like write it down right away or just sing it over and over again, I'll forget song lyrics. But story, that I can keep in my mind. But as far as like having a set schedule, I'm the mother of 3 and stay-at-home mom, so that's hilarious. It'd be a nice idea to have a set schedule, but I would love it. It would be nice, but like, they don't really cooperate with that. I used to try to put them to bed and then like write until about 2 in the morning, and they would always end up waking up at some point. So I try to kind of. They
just knew that you were up.
Mom's doing something.
What's happening out there?
Like, oh, it's too quiet.
All the good cooking, all the good cookies are being eaten, or
yeah,
something.
That's true. I mean, they're cookie monsters too. So yeah. Same group, and we have a retreat that we do a couple times a year. I do my most writing in the cabin at the retreat than I do the rest of the year, because 3 days, no kids, no husband. It's like, woo. It's amazing. So it's like, at home, I wish I could write like that, but at least I have those couple times a year to really get stuff done. So it's nice. Yeah.
That's cool. So where are you at now? This is out. Book number 2 is out. How far along are you in book number 3?
I think like chapter 6. Like, I didn't get to go to the last retreats. I was at a fair a couple weeks ago. So it was the same time, unfortunately. So I got a little writing done during that, but I'm working on it. I know where it's going. Just kind of slowly getting there. Hopefully it'll be done in time to release it again next year. I'm trying to stay within a year of the last book, because I know what it's like to be the reader and love a book and be like, ugh. Yeah, where's the next book? And yeah, that's
Craddock, come on, gonna need it.
Yeah, so I want to try to keep it a year and not drive people crazy. So yeah.
Sure. So tell folks where to find the latest, The Offspring, but also The Forsaken, the 2 books that are out from Children of Cain.
You can find them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, my website, Smashwords. They're pretty much everywhere, all over online.
And your website is?
www.rjcraddock.com. So RJ Craddock, C-R-A-D-D-O-C-K.
Double D, O-C-K.
Yes, yeah.
Very cool.
Important.
I'm super proud of you. This is really cool.
I am too. Thank you.
Good. Yeah,
it's nice to have somebody else appreciate it.
Yeah, good for you. Well,
it's a big deal.
It's a lot of work. It's a huge amount of work, and I think it's admirable that you have the ability to stay through it. And we just wish you the most of success. And everybody go to rjcraddock.com.
Let's do that.
At 7:01 p.m. immediately following the completion of this program.
Yes, right
or
away.
11:01 p.m. if you're watching later.
Yeah.
And really great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Talking to you.
Yeah. Keep in touch. Keep us posted.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. See you soon. RJ Craddock, Check her out, rjcraddock.com. It's the Children of Cain series. The new book, The Offspring, is out. Check it out. New adult. Good stuff.